Today's guest is someone who brings a really unique perspective to the conversation around well-being, reinvention, and personal growth. Kim Costa has spent more than 30 years working across real estate, construction, and design, helping people create homes that genuinely support the life they want to live. She's the creator of the Wheelhouse Assessment, a framework combining the wheel of life with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, designed to help people understand that their environment impacts everything, from relationships and career growth to emotional well-being and inner peace. Kim is also the host of American Dream TV and the Live in Your Wheelhouse podcast, and she's preparing for the release of her upcoming book, Live in Your Wheelhouse, an empowering guide to stay, go, or reno. In this conversation, we explore the connection between home, identity, and energy, how to recognize when your life no longer feels aligned, and why the spaces we live in can either refill us or quietly drain us. I absolutely loved this chat, and I know you will too. Thank you for being here again for the Can I Get a Refill podcast. If you're new, I'm Steph. I'm your host, and I help women stop pouring from an empty cup and start building a life that actually supports them. If that's something you're interested in, you should hit subscribe and stick around. I also recommend jumping on the website www.canigetarefillpodcast.com.au, linked below, to download your free ebook on 7 steps to protect your energy and fill up your cup. Every area of your life comes back to the relationship you have with yourself, so make sure it's a really strong one. Download it today and make yourself your number one priority. Okay, now let's jump in. Hello, my cup fillers, and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast. As just promised, we are joined by international guest today, Kim Costa. Kim, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so excited, and we started chatting a long time ago, didn't we? And I was like, I'm a bit busy. Let's reconnect in a few months. So it's nice to finally get together. And you're all the way in Atlanta, Georgia. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. And I just love that we can connect here across the world. Halfway across the world.
I love that so much. I mean, we're just chatting off air. You're a podcast host yourself, which is why you look and sound so professional. She's got the professional mic and headphones going. But you've just finished your season 1 of solo episodes, and now you're going to start interviewing people internationally.
That's right.
It's so exciting once you start.
It is.
Like I start my day, it's morning for me, night for you, but I start my day in the best mood when I've been able to chat with people overseas. It's so amazing that I'm doing that from my living room.
It's fascinating. So today I've spoken with someone in London, someone from Argentina, and now you. And I'm like, this is like the best day ever. I can't wait to talk to people about it.
It's so good. It's so funny too, because I get a lot of US guests, and when I listen back, I'm like, I am Aussie and I love my Aussie people, but I feel like sometimes I connect better with Americans. I feel like I have oddly more in common. I don't know. We just, unless I'm attracting that sort of audience, but I'm really loving my US guests. I've really made some lifelong friends.
People say, are you familiar with the Enneagram at all?
No, what's that?
Okay, so it's a personality test type of thing, and they say that the USA is very much a 3, which is like a go-getter, success-driven country.
Yes.
And then they have a personality for Italy, which we just spoke about. And they have a personality for Australia and for Scotland and Ireland and for Germany. And so I am not your typical American. I love to chill, and I'm very people-oriented. And I've been accused of being a type 3, which is success-oriented, but I'm really a type 7, which is very fun-loving. And so...
Right. So you should be here.
I should be. That's why I connect.
Laying on the beach.
That's why I connect with the Aussies and the Italians who just love culture and food and all the arts. We were just saying
that both your husband and myself have origins in Sicily, and it really is a you do have to go there. It's very much in the moment, loving food, loving conversation. It's America and Australia definitely has the hustle bustle still, and in Europe I do find that they really hold that beautiful
space for themselves and their schedule.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think they're brilliant because they don't burn out.
They don't. And there's a lot of beauty.
Maybe
like
they
live
do,
in the beauty. You know how we'll throw a salad in our mouths from our desks while we're working.
I did that
everything there is pleasure. They'll sit and break bread with each other. It's a real ritual. Meals over there, and there's no such thing as food guilt over there. They're all just really enjoying everything they eat, and they're
savoring it, which we should. When I went to Italy it was 5 or 10 years ago now, I remember going to get some takeout coffee, and I didn't realize that was a very much an American thing to do because they they were like, sit, relax, but I had some girlfriends back at the hotel who were expecting their morning coffee. I said, I'll go get it. I'll get some Americanos. And so they were like an Americano in a to-go cup and they didn't do this, but now I know, with a big eye roll internally, because sit in the cafe and savor your coffee. But instead I had like 4 cups and a carry thing to head back to the hotel. And it was so American of me.
That's the beauty of travel, isn't it? That everyone exchanges culture and you get to see how other people live. I love that. I think I said to you in an email, I'm so excited for this topic. It's not something I've discussed on the show before, but I'm a Cancerian and our trait is to really love your home. Your home is your haven. And I've always been very into, making it beautiful and make sure I have beautiful artworks and indoor plants, and I have to have natural light or I find I get depression and all these little things. I'm very, very fussy about where I live. Having said that, and at the moment, we need to upsize to an extra bedroom because of my son, but we'll get to that. But I'm very excited for this topic because you talk about the home impacting you in a way that no one else does, really. Yeah. So how did you get into this work before I jump into the questions?
Well, years of personal misalignment to start with. And so that's an eye-opener to begin with. But I'm also very educated in human resource development, which is basically another word for what are you meant to do and how are you meant to live. Both of my parents were human resource specialists, so they hired and fired people based on what they were good at doing. And so I grew up with the term, is it in their wheelhouse? And that usually meant at the dinner table, I would hear, we had to fire so-and-so because he's really not cut out to be a pilot for the executives. He was drinking and that's just not matched up with the job title. Or we hired so-and-so and she is really thriving because this is so much in her wheelhouse. So I grew up with how personal potential matches who you were born to be and what gifts and personality traits that you have. So I've just taken that and parlayed it into your living environment because I'm fascinated with people's culture, their how they grew up, their traditions, and then how they actually live. And is it helping them or hindering them in who they're supposed to be?
And your environment around you has such impact on your life and your mood and your health. And I think some people ignore it, but it's so impactful, isn't it? Yeah. You talk about how people often outgrow their homes without realizing it. What are some signs that the life you've built no longer feels aligned with who you've become?
Well, it's negative emotions like frustration, sadness, loneliness, even resentment is a big one, because perhaps you're in a relationship and one partner wants one thing and the other wants another, but they're living in one specific environment, and then one person didn't have a say in that environment, and that can create resentment. And I see that in a couple situation, but in a single person situation, it's really about what are the pain points you're feeling and where do they come from? And so often people pull up to a home and maybe they're frustrated, but their moving is such an extravagant and costly and time-consuming endeavor that we don't want to move. And so we just think, oh, this is fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we're not fine. And it could take so the subtitle to my framework in my book is an empowering guide to stay, go, or reno. So it's not all or nothing. It could be staying where you are and renovating a room, not meaning moving walls or anything like that, but just what is the function of that room? And could you possibly change it for your next stage of life? And there's so many scenarios we could talk about there. Or it could be, I need to move. In the assessment, there are 8 areas. And if the wheel of life, which it's a circle, you grade things from 1 to 10. And if you have a flat tire, then you're probably moving. And so that's what I think people overlook is they're living in a past stage and they're not allowing themselves to move forward to what could be because they're just doing what's always been done or what people expect them to do.
Oh my gosh. In so many areas of their lives do people do that. And I often talk about having stillness and a pen and paper to talk about what do I want? Am I happy here? What's working for me? What's not working for me? It's really tapping into the self and having a reflection, having a look at that. And I did an episode with a couples therapist recently and I was talking about how so many people will stay in relationships. I've seen it so much in marriages, and they might just have separate bedrooms, and they say, they don't want to divorce because it's effort or costly, or I don't want to do that to the kids, and they just put up with an uncomfortable situation for decades. When the children might have a better life if they're seeing you separately but happier, you will definitely have a better life. But so many people do, don't they? Just say, I'll just put up with the status quo. And they're the people I have compassion for, but I don't have respect for those people. Like I clash with people like that because I'm always so baffled. If I identify a problem in my life, I do everything I can to address it because I'm like, okay, this isn't working. I'm not happy. I don't like feeling icky. I want to address what's not working. So when people just put up with health issues or relationship issues, I'm always like, why?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you, like it's going to be, and the answer is because it's uncomfortable. No one wants to do the uncomfortable thing of breaking up or moving. But what I always say is then you're just lengthening the uncomfortability, aren't you? You're already uncomfortable.
Yes.
You're better off just ripping the Band-Aid and doing the uncomfortable thing in the short term, and you might get this wonderful future.
Payoff for the next 4 decades. Right?
Yes.
I mean, and then it builds and it builds and it builds because when you're actually living in alignment, it's like serendipity and good things come to you and you run into the right people and you make more money and you find more joy and you're healthier and you're happier and it just compounds. And I don't think people realize that making a change to live in alignment with how you want to live, and it could be stay, go, or reno. It could be renoing or moving on from people who don't support or see you. It could be the people in your life. It could be the environment in your life. It could be friends who don't see and support you. It could also be your living environment that's keeping you stuck. If you are, and I don't know, I'm just going to use a reference here in America. If you are an actor, now Atlanta is a pretty good place for an actor, but so there, or Hollywood perhaps, although Hollywood's gotten a bad rap recently. Or if you're a country singer, don't stay in Iowa.
Nashville?
Go to Nashville. Go to Nashville. Stephen Pressfield wrote a book, I think, and I won't swear, but it's Put Your Blank Where Your Heart Wants to Be or something like that. And he's like, move to the place that's going to support you. And that also applies to your home. You really need to design your living environment for what supports the way you like to live.
I love what you said. I was in a toxic relationship many, many years ago, and I used to say to myself, I'm not broken. I'm a sundial in the shade. I'm just in the wrong spot. And I was like, I felt broken. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just not in the right place. Like, yeah. But like that analogy of, like if a plant isn't growing, you don't blame the plant. You fix the environment around it and you'll move it into it. We remove the emotion with things like that. We're like, okay, well, we've obviously put it in the wrong spot. Let's find something that's conducive to its growth. You also used 2 of my favorite words, alignment and serendipity. That's I just glowed from the inside. Can I guess, are you 1, spiritual, and B, a Louise Hay reader?
I am both. Yes, I am very spiritual. And I used to read Louise Hay, and there's the Hay House, which I read all of the people involved with Hay House. I don't as often as I used to because I'm busy creating my content. But she has filled my soul for a long time. And she didn't start till she was well on into her 60s. And that's very inspiring to me because it's never too late.
That so much. So many female success stories start older and,
Because we're raising
kids have gone off
children
and done
and
their own thing, or
and
yes, yeah,
involved in careers, and we put other people first because that's how we're made until
all
we
the time.
figure out how to put
Yes.
ourselves first. Because I have this big thing and I want to get t-shirts made, and I don't care if anyone steals it. Please do. Let's start a movement. I want t-shirts that say self.ish. So you're not being selfish. You're just considering yourself. I'm a little bit selfish.
I think you should go and patent that. I think that's
and then on the back, it would have the definition of focusing on yourself to help other people. So I'm selfish because if I don't take care of myself first, I can't take care of you.
Kim, this whole podcast is about filling. I have a 2-year-old son, and I constantly talk about I pour into my cup first because if I go down, you're all screwed. So I take care of everyone. And
honestly, I'm on the other side of the timeline, not the complete other side, but a little past the middle, where my kids are 30 and 33. And and we had a lovely environment, and I loved them so much. However, what a better role model I would have been if I had been doing what I was born to do the whole time I raised them. In addition you
didn't have the tools. No one had the tools back then, and
I think
language.
I think I knew I was out of alignment. I felt it, but I didn't have the tools yet to describe that or follow through. Yeah. Because, I just did what I thought I needed to do financially and for the family.
But the doors weren't opening for women a lot back then.
I think you're correct. But, yes.
Yeah. And now I do things without guilt because I'm like, my son's going to look at me when he's older and be inspired. Like even I mentioned on another episode with another US guest that's out now, he'll wake up and ideally I will get my workouts done before he wakes up. But sometimes things don't happen. I woke up early this morning and baked cookies for him to take to daycare and things. So very often I'll work out when he's awake and he's, crying at me to play. It's only a 30-minute or 45-minute workout. And I'm like, no, I'll get this done first because I know I'm going to be a better mum for him for the rest of the day. And he can't see that now, but he will in the future appreciate, wow, my mum's really motivated. My mum, that's a great
And my mom has more energy for me because she's gotten her workout in.
Yeah. Yeah. But I want to circle back to the word alignment. My whole world opened up when I started assessing the world around me of what was aligned with me and what wasn't. Hugely. Jobs, relationships, and not just intimate relationships, friends, family, colleagues. So I feel, as I said to you off air, tomorrow when we're recording this, I'm turning 43, and I feel such joy and abundance in my life since I've started, just living in alignment. But also, as you're saying, women start later with things that I don't think like, oh, I'm getting older. I'm like, this is a great stage of life. I am really embracing it. So I love that you said that and that you're going to tie that into the home too, because it's everything around you needs to feel aligned. And when it doesn't, whether you're focusing on it or not, it drains your energy and it drains, then that affects what you're putting out into the world, right?
That's right. It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does. I mean, it's all about, have you ever done something and you completely lose yourself in it?
Yes.
And it could be podcasting. It could be studying the background of someone you're about to speak with, and you're so fascinated that you dig deeper and deeper. And then if someone ever interrupts you, it's like you're coming out from another planet because you're so into it. Now, I did not feel that when I did accounting. Many things I don't feel that. I'm not a mechanical person. Please don't ask me anything mechanical. Just please, I would rather somebody else do that. But I'm great at creative stuff. I'm great at communication. I'm great at numbers. And I get really into that groove. But when you don't feel it and you're forced to do that kind of a work or live in a situation, say you're an introvert and you're forced to live in a loud condo with a roommate who invites friends over all the time and you have no personal space and the sirens are blaring, I think some people's heads are exploding and they just don't realize that they were not meant for that environment. No. They have to do an analysis. And my next favorite word, or my first favorite word really, is clarity. And it's the wheelhouse assessment, which I developed clarifies in 8 areas based on who you are, because that's where it starts, the living environment that you need to live in to thrive. And so if the environment is one of the spokes in the wheel, if your environment is loud and full of people and you don't have a space to relax and read or whatever it is that fills you up, your battery is going to get lower and lower and lower more quickly. And you're just going to feel uncomfortable most of the time.
Yes.
And without even realizing nothing's wrong with you, you're just made differently than your roommate who wants to have 5 people over every night. Maybe you need blackout curtains and earplugs so that you can sleep at night because the noise is waking you up. So it's just a deep analysis that you can't unsee once you put it on paper.
Oh, I love that so much. And I love that you said there's nothing wrong with you. And for so many years, I always call myself an extroverted introvert. I love being around people. I love talking. But my capacity for that is so small that I'll do it in short bursts, and then I need to retreat and recharge in solitude. That's just who I've always been. And I've always been around people who've sort of judged it. Like my family always thought I was rejecting them. And I'm like, no, this is who I am. I just need solitude.
Right.
And I would do like work conventions where they'd go for 3 days. And I used to think I had a mental health issue and I, needed to be medicated or something because people were like, why is she not coming out with us all the time? And I was like, I can't for 3 days from sun up to sundown just be chatting with people. Like that is
and
so
absorbing.
Draining for me. Yeah.
The sponge
and
gets
also,
full.
But with the noise, I'm so overstimulated by too much going on. And again, I remember years ago, my mum was like, oh, like there was something wrong with me because I couldn't handle like the loud volume. She's like, you and your dad are the same. But there's nothing wrong with me.
No.
That's just who I am. Like she's able to block things out. I am not. I'm a real empath. I absorb everything in my environment. So I've lived in this building for 10 years. I have the loveliest neighbors, the most peaceful block, beautiful trees. Everyone's quiet and respectful. I put my little sign up on the door, podcasting, and everyone walks around quiet. I thrive in this environment because I'm able to recharge in it. And I couldn't think of a more important environment for you to assess other than your home. That is your recharge station, isn't it?
It is. It is. I saw a funny thing on social media recently, and it's this little pin, and it's got a sliding lever, and it says social battery, and it goes from green to red. So I go to conventions and talk all day and everything too. And some days I just feel like I'm just sliding that social battery, and I need to go recharge. Yes.
That is genius. Can you please send me some of those and make sure you create the self.ish shirts that I would buy buckets of
I'm going to have
both.
some merch soon. I will give props to the social battery person. That was brilliant.
That is so good. So good. All right, we've got off on tangents. I'll bring it back. But so a lot of women listening are in seasons of reinvention, which we touched on. So career shifts, motherhood, relationship changes, and burnout recovery comes up a lot. How can our environment either support that transition or keep us emotionally stuck?
Well, I mean, again, it boils back down to what season are you leaving, and then what big change? Is it a divorce? Is it getting married? Is it having children, having another child? Empty nesting, retirement, all the changes, that we go through in our adult lives when we're living somewhere. And so it really just takes investigating most of the time when people are moving, really you can stay, go, or reno. So if you're going, if you're moving, that's a huge top 3 stressor of life. So let's only do that if we really need to.
Yeah.
But from the life change that's happening, is your current space going to work for the next 10 years? Or do you need to start making a plan to change something because it's going to cause you more frustration, financial woe, and things like that? So the biggest thing is evaluating where you're headed next. And if you're thinking about, gosh, something's very uncomfortable, there's a reason. And normally it's life change. And so pause for a moment and look at the person you were 5 years ago, and then look at the person you want to be, or the life circumstances that are changing or going to change, or that you want to change them on purpose, and look at the next 5 to 10 years. And then you evaluate your environment to see if that is going to help you or hurt you.
Oh, I love that. pause is the word that stood out for me there, to take a pause and assess things. And I think people are just on the hamster wheel and they don't stop for a breather, and then you just keep going, doing what you think you should be doing, what other people think you should be doing, what you wanted 10 years ago, but it might not suit the stage where you're at now. So I love that. And I used to do this thing when I would leave a job or a home. I would say, it's very Louise Hay, I would say I would thank it with gratitude for the beautiful memories and release it with love and gratitude to the next person who can create great memories. So I'd never look at anything, I've had a couple of bad relationships, but I'm always like, I got something out of it for that stage of life, whether it be a blessing or a lesson. And then, it's no longer suiting my next stage of life. That's why I always say I don't necessarily think divorce is a bad thing whilst it's, traumatic in the time. Sometimes you might just outgrow that person, and that person was meant for you for that stage of life, and either another person is meant for the next stage or just you on your own. So I love that pausing to assess, and it's not a judgment of things, is it? It's about saying it's misaligned for who I am now, but it might have been great for me 10 years ago.
That's right. And another mistake that I think people make sometimes is doing what people expect them to do.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
And so we get caught in that I'm going to disappoint people if I make a change. And but then
you hear that a lot in our industry, don't you think, like on podcasting, where people are like, I was a lawyer because my parents said I should be, or I was a medical professional.
Medical
and then
professional.
They become coaches and manifestation coaches, and then they light up because they feel more aligned. Yeah.
That's right. I see it all the time. Or my parents were both engineers. And so, but they weren't really born with that gene. They're more of a right brain person. And so why don't we just be who we're supposed to be? And when we're successful,
your parents, are you? You're an individual.
Right. Yes. Who did I just see an interview with? It was Billy Idol, the rock singer.
Oh, yes.
The British rock singer. And he just, he was in tears recently on an interview talking about how his dad never liked his music. And when his dad, and he was so successful, and he's really quite brilliant. I didn't realize how smart he is. And because he's just like a rocker, and he said, my dad, when he was about, I think he's passed, and his dad said, I'm so sorry that I never liked your music. And Billy Idol said, well, Dad, that's okay, because I think he said something like, it drove me to be who I was, and that's still all okay. But like, even if you're going to be a rocker and so successful, there are still people very close to you that are going to say, you shouldn't do that, or I don't like it. And it's just their fear. And you can't listen to that.
Always. Always. But I always think of that expression of when you're trying to please everyone, you please no one too. That's why I think you should just do you. Do what lights you up. Do what feels good in the right tribe.
Or you please them in some unhealthy, narcissistic way.
Yeah.
They're pleased, but it's not healthy.
Those kind of people are never pleased anyway.
They're not. You're not going to please them ever. And so why don't you just be you?
Stopped.
Just stop.
It's very freeing. You touched on the wheelhouse assessment. So let's jump into that. You created the wheelhouse assessment, blending the wheel of life with Maslow's hierarchy. Can you explain how our homes can impact things like confidence, relationships, creativity, and even career growth?
Well, okay. So career is one of the spokes, and then confidence. So Maslow's hierarchy has, I think, 7 needs in it. So it starts off with physiological, and then safety, and then love and belonging, and then esteem, and then cognitive, which is what are you learning? And then comes to aesthetic, right? So each of those needs to be addressed up to self-actualization, which is our goal through each of those 8 spokes. So in each of the 8 spokes, which are finance, health, environment, career, romance, fun and leisure, spirituality, and family and friends, within each of those 8 spokes, you're trying to up level from the very bottom needs are like physiological, and family and friends might be, you have a partner who snores, right? And you can't sleep at night. And so maybe you need a second bedroom occasionally to go sleep in to get a good night's sleep, or else you are not going to function for your all the other spokes. And so you go through each of those 8 spokes and you try to determine what in your home is causing a physiological safety, love and belonging, esteem need misfunction, and fix that. Most people are focusing on, what is my paint color? Do I like the aesthetics of the exterior? It's more of the functionality of the space in these 8 areas. You're having another child, or you need more bedrooms. That's a functionality issue, and in esteem, love and belonging, and also physiological. If you can't sleep or function because you're sharing a room, then you need to, that's kind of a deeper level than just, I don't have room for all of my clothes, right?
Listen, there is nothing more valuable, I realize now as a toddler mum, than sleep.
Oh my gosh. Nothing our brain doesn't function.
Like you will literally have a shorter life if you have terrible sleeps. Now,
and become depraved.
When I used to see people saying they had separate bedrooms, I used to judge.
I used to judge too.
I used to say, there's the end of romance. Now I am all for it. And if one day we decided to do that, I have no qualms about that. So are you into biohacking much? That Brian Johnson, he's a biohacker.
A little bit. He
had a Netflix show and he's dating an Aussie girl. And he's funny. I think he might be on the spectrum, so he's very methodical in the way he speaks.
Right, that's why I can't watch him too much. I'm more of a go with the flow kind of person.
Yes, perhaps. That's right, yeah. And he traveled from the US to Australia to meet her parents, and his whole post online was like how bad traveling is for you and how it takes so many years off your life. And the comments are like, bro, don't open with that line when you meet her family. Like, so funny. But he did a post this week saying how he and his girlfriend never sleep in the same room. Like they'll, have sex in the same bed, but they'll sleep in separate rooms. And I nearly wrote a comment. I didn't. I was rushing to get my son, but I was like, I literally used to judge that all the time. And now I have no judgment because I realize that when no one is in my bed, my body drops into this level of ease because my son has his own bed, but occasionally he comes into ours and I've got these tiny feet kicking in my back, or, my husband wasn't a snorer, but lately there's a few snoring nights, but he'll come into bed later because of either work or video games and just disruption. And lately, so we're in a 1-bedder, but Kim, last night I slept on the couch because my podcasting days I need to be switched on. I had a great sleep.
That's the thing.
And it makes sense. You can still, you're unconscious. It's actually not romantic because you're unconscious.
No, because you're so tired, you're grumpy.
Yes.
No one wants that. And you have little bags under your
time.
eyes occasionally if you don't get a good night's sleep. That's not romantic. So, romantic, I watched a 60 Minutes or Sunday morning show, and it was years ago, and it talked about this couple who had separate bedrooms because she had too many. It was a funny little couple. She had too many stuffed animals, and he was very linear thinking. And and he said, and so the person who was interviewing them asked, well, what do you do about romance? And he says, oh, we're fine. My room is the room for romance because who wants all those stuffed animals around?
I agree.
so I started laughing and I was like, that is brilliant. And she's giggling like they clearly have some romance going on. They were very happy. They just literally lived in 2 separate rooms because I think he was the late night person. She wanted to read with her little snuggly stuffed animals she'd had since she was a child. And, but they were very happy. And that started me thinking about, don't worry about what other people think. You have to do what works for you. I think something like 50% of all Americans at least sleep separately for snoring or different bedtimes and different waking times.
Different bedtimes for us. Yeah. It's the disruption. Yeah. Once I'm up, I really struggle to get back down to sleep. And I think I'm in perimenopause, and I hear that you get a flush of cortisol between 1 and 3. Well, every night without fail, I wake up either between 3:18 or 3:22. And again, this morning I woke up, looked at my watch, 3:22. I'm like, oh my God, here we go again.
3:10 a.m. So yes, cortisol's a real thing, ladies, and it will affect your living. So yes, go to that holistic doctor and get fixed up.
Hard to be doing this while I'm in early motherhood as well. Like I really should have had kids earlier, I think.
Anyway, there's no shoulds. It was meant to be.
You know what? I say that in every episode. We don't use the word should. Yeah, definitely. I don't like that word. Actually, that's a Louise Hay thing. She doesn't believe in the word should. Yes.
Right. It's all that works for you.
I love what you're saying there, Kim, so much. Functionality is so much more important than the aesthetic. And it's both important, but that functionality, because you're only having guests every now and then, but it's you in that house all the time. So what's working for you, what's not? And I love that. I love that so much. But yeah, definitely separate sleeping, no judgment whatsoever. Look into that one day. So many people feel restless and immediately assume they need to move house, change jobs, or start over. How do you determine whether the problem is actually the environment or something deeper internally?
Well, you have to start in my process. You start with the 4 M's, and those are myself. Who are you and what gifts do you have? How are you made? And recognizing that within yourself. And then the next is mastery of those gifts that you've been given. What are you focused on? Are you focusing on what brings you pleasure and what you're good at? Or are you stuck in a rut of doing the same thing every day that you're not actually supposed to be doing? And then the third is mission. How do you apply those mastered gifts to help other people? That's been proven to provide happiness, not only for you, but obviously for other people. And then the last, which I think is super important, is mates. Do your mates see you for who you are and allow you to be yourself and support that? Or do they somehow sabotage you, even possibly without knowing? Who are you letting in your home? Who are you letting in your life? And do they see the real you and support you?
Oh, I love this so much. It's very in line with my ebook on my website. Can you please repeat the 4 M's for me?
Sure.
Just so everyone can hear them.
Myself, mastery, mission, and mates.
Oh, love that so much. Would you tie mission in with that sense of purpose?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Mission, purpose, yes. Same thing.
How important is that? And I think a lot of people, especially in older generations, didn't look at that. And I find that I need that to get out of bed in the morning. That's something of I'm working towards a greater goal. I'm very spiritual. I wouldn't say super religious. I don't really go to church much, but I talk to God a lot, and I always say, show me how to serve. And I just want to always be utilizing my gifts in a way that, benefits others. And again, it's in that relating to alignment. When you're doing things that light you up, you do it with so much energy and it doesn't feel like work. And like you were saying before, when you come out of that trance, I will sit and edit for hours. I have to go to the chiro this week. My neck is so tight because I've been sitting at the computer so much, but it is so much joy to me to be doing that. But if I was doing work for someone else, I'd be like, oh, how long's left in the day, So yeah, that's very important. I really like what you said there with those 4 M's. That's wonderful.
And it is a luxury to be able to focus on those things, because many times people don't have the luxury of figuring out who they actually are. They're not provided opportunities. Could be socioeconomic status. Yeah. It could be many, many things. And there's a chapter in my book called Barriers to Self. And it's about even trauma and addiction or codependency, where they give up themselves. It could be an illness. It could be just being born in the wrong country, and you're just worried about getting food and water. Not to get too philosophical, but aren't we all privileged to look into our 4 M's? And if we have that privilege, it's and I have a relationship with God, but I don't go to church often either. But what a waste, what almost a sin it is to waste the potential we've been given, in my opinion, as a person.
Yes.
And if you up-level yourself and up-level other people along the way, I mean, to me, that's the point of life.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
I think
it lights you up. I like what you said there, though. It is. We're all speaking from a place of privilege when there's people in such sheer survival mode. Like people in Gaza, for instance, just trying to work out how they're going to have safety and shelter and food. So, and I donate a lot to. There's a charity in Sydney called the Wayside Chapel. They work with the homeless community in a really beautiful way. And
I love that.
Especially when it gets to winter, you look at them like. You're talking about the home. It's such a basic human need to have a safe space. And they always, when I see them on the street, I'm like, you know what the thought I always think is, where do you go to retreat to?
They don't.
You can't. You're
Their
always
car.
watched. is someone going to come along and move me along? Like they must have a real
Are they
level
going to
of anxiety.
steal my things while I'm sleeping?
Yes.
Right?
It'd be in constant fight or flight, wouldn't it? Like there can't be ease. So yeah, it is a place of privilege to be able to assess those areas of your life.
Yeah.
That's for
And
sure.
I don't often think about that. It's not something I preach or anything like that. But it is true that, it is a privilege to know yourself and to improve yourself and to do things for other people. And it does bring joy. It really brings joy.
Now, I believe in having compassion for others, but I also don't believe in having guilt. I'm going to do everything I can to create the best life for myself because I know that that's going to motivate others too. It doesn't mean that this is why I don't watch the news. Like there's tragedies all over the world, but I don't need to know about it.
No, we used to not know about it. It would just, we didn't know everything that was one thing after the other on the news. It's an assault to your nervous system.
I just recorded an episode on how to manifest by regulating your nervous system. And I was like, people reminisce about the 90s. I loved the 90s. I was in school in the 90s and I go, the fashion was fun. TV, music and film was way better than it is now. But I think, what you really missed was that you were more in the present moment because, when you'd get ready for work or school, you'd see your mum and your dad and your sibling and your dog and then you'd go on your way. But now it's like you're getting 500 people's opinions before breakfast if you're scrolling on socials. And I just think the body isn't meant to absorb that much. It's too much.
It can't possibly. And, there was a study done that, at least in the U.S., and I'm not sure, I feel like Australia is probably a little higher than we are on the scale of happiness. I don't know. Maybe that's my perception. I need to visit and find out. But we are like, the young people especially are like 59th in the world for happiness. And here we are, one of the most wealthy countries. And it's just this, I believe it's this disconnection from family and themselves and so much focus on instant gratification and social media and things that are fake they've got. But I do believe they're coming around.
Yes.
The young people.
Have you ever read the Celestine Prophecies?
No. Oh, gosh.
I feel like you would like that. It's an
interesting
book I read back in my Louise Hay, Eckhart Tolle sort of journey.
And
it's sort of talking about how...
Yes.
Yeah. It's sort of talking about like how eventually it's all just going to crumble and people are just going to live off the trees like an Avatar because it's just going to get too much that it's going to be not sustainable. And it's so true about what you say about things that are fake. I always think about, if someone's diagnosed with an illness, what do you care about? Certainly not what people think of your home or your clothing or of your likes on Instagram. You care about the real things. So it helps to put things into perspective. Sometimes I like to tell myself, what would you do if you had a week left to live? Let's make it.
That's right.
It's dramatic, but
that's smart.
Puts things into perspective. Yeah. Yeah. Dramatic, but smart. What are some simple changes people can make to their homes right now to create more calm, clarity, and emotional safety without spending thousands on renovations?
Really, it's about what you already have. And so when you walk in your house or a room, and the first thing that you notice, I love to have this little drill for people. The first thing that you notice is probably either really good or really bad. And so when you walk into a room and the first thing that catches your eye, it's either something that causes a pain point, like a Peloton you never use and that was expensive, or a piece of artwork you got on vacation in Italy that brings you joy and you have a favorite. So keep the thing that brings you joy, and the thing that's bothering you, get rid of it. This is why I love Marie Kondo with that. She's wonderful.
Joy.
Yes.
And it's funny you mentioned Sorrento. Let me see what you can see in my home. And I've got these 3 little artworks. You can see them up there. And I was on a Kentucky tour by myself after a breakup with a horrible boyfriend, and I went for a walk and talked to this older gentleman who spoke English in Sorrento. Now, not a lot of people in Italy speak English if you're not in a major city.
Not in Sorrento. Rome, yes, right?
Yes. And he, I had my little diary and he was helping me, work out a bit of the language. Like my dad's Italian, but I don't speak it fluently, only little bits. But they're Gustav Klimt little artworks on like wooden things. And so we worked out which ones to pick. And the top one is a single lady, because that was who I was in 2011.
Yes.
And then we got one with a lady embracing a man. So then that happened once I met my husband. And then the third one is a woman holding a child, and the child's a boy, and I ended up having a boy.
Wow.
And every time I look at these, it brings so much joy, because and I remember the beautiful exchange I had with that man. It was so, this is like a movie moment, like,
wow.
And there was another one where there were all these people lying all over each other, and he's like, not that one. It looks like group love. Group love, group expression so much, and laugh. But you're right. And then I've got, like, I love Greenwich Village in New York City, and I've got like this little frame up in the corner next to my beautiful bookshelf with all my books, and it was like $7, but it's not a tacky looking one. It's beautiful. It's got like yellow leaves falling on the street in like with the brown stones, and I bought it on one of those street vendors. Every time I look at that, it really does spark joy, and I think it's because you're remembering to the holidays. Like, I've got something from Morocco up there next to my Frida Kahlo things, but what I do now, I've always had a very neat, serene home, but I have a toddler who likes to draw with crayons, and all I see now is the bits where he's grabbed the crayon and I've turned my back and he's drawn like on the kitchen cabinet or something. So I'm going to buy butcher's paper and blue tack it all up so he can draw on that paper, and I can just throw it out.
Oh, that is smart.
Bothering me so much.
Yes.
Actually, it's his birthday next month, and I also bought him an easel.
Yes.
Hopefully he'll use that, so you can have the paper.
He just needs something. He needs another option.
Yes,
yes,
he does, and he knows not to, because he looks at me real cheeky if he goes to. He looks before he goes to draw on the place he's not meant to draw, and then he runs off. So, yeah, he's a very artistic. I like to watch him in his element, but I also like a beautiful home. So,
absolutely. Well, you can create a little corner with his easel and the tearaway paper, and some of them you might save. If he does something kind of cute.
I already had some, and I said to my husband this morning, if I wake up tomorrow morning on my birthday to a little homemade birthday card drawn by him, I won't be mad, because I like little keepsakes like that I get to keep. I've got a Mother's Day one up on the fridge. So, yeah, I love stuff like that. But I really agree with you. Your eyes go straight to what you love or what you don't love. It's the same as when you look at your naked body in the mirror after a shower. It's either looking at the cellulite or looking at the new abs I've developed. There's no in between, is there? It's one or the other. Would you say, Kim, less is more, like remove things? I really don't like a lot of clutter in the home. I think my way of thinking is that clutter in the home creates clutter in the mind. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. And I have met people who actually have, a bit of a hoarding situation, and it always goes back to some sort of feeling where they were deprived in some way. An older couple I recently helped. They were, almost depression era babies. They were, one was in his 90s. And so they remember not having anything. And so they kept everything. They labeled everything. Aunt Minnie's garland from 1998 was in a bag, marked, most of us with. And so it's just a scarcity mindset that shows up in the home. But then what they don't actually realize is the scarcity is in how they're living amongst all the boxes and the saved things. And I think it can be a sign of past trauma that isn't cleared if you're keeping things in the home that don't bring you joy. And so I love Marie Kondo's release it with love. If it's not bringing you joy, it can definitely waylay you in getting to where you want to be in your life, because you're so stuck in the past with those items.
There's energy in spaces, and that energy of things that no longer fit you or suit your life, they're holding you back. How can you be your next level future self if you're hanging on to things that were from your past self? I definitely agree with that. I regularly go through my wardrobe, and if it's still good, I sell it online, or if it's good but not great, I'll give it to charity and stuff. But I regularly do that because I was clinging on to clothing of when I was really, really fit, hadn't had children. And when I looked at it in the wardrobe, it made me feel like a failure, like, you failed, Steph, because you let your body go. And I'm like, no. So now I have all loose-fitting, relaxed clothing, breathable, beautiful linens, and things that feel good on my body. And it's really, it really has up-leveled my life doing something as simple as that.
Absolutely. And you look fabulous. We aren't meant to stay the same. And
We're not meant to.
we're not meant
I
to.
saw someone said that the other day. They put a photo of 28-year-old Rihanna next to 38-year-old Rihanna, and they're like, people tell you things like, "Oh, you haven't aged a day," is like a compliment, and it's like, it's great to age. Like, of course, you should look different after 10 years. You know?
Yeah. People will say, "You look exactly the same," and I think I don't feel the same. I feel like a new person or a new stage of my life. So I mean, I'm kind of like, thank you.
Thank you. I like what you said though about the hoarding. I love Celine Dion, and I heard her say once she grew up. She was either the 12th child or 14th child, and they had no money. She had one pair of shoes. Well, this woman's wardrobe, her shoe. All she buys is shoes, because that, when you have that one thing that made you feel like you weren't enough. So you're like, when I make it, I will make sure I have this.
Isn't
and
that
it will make
funny?
you feel validated. Yeah.
I have a friend like that, and we would all describe her as bougie. But I've known her a very, very long time. And she said, I just remember my family, one of my parents buying me the knockoff shoe. Yeah. Like it used to be a Candy or a Bass loafer, but it was the knockoff brand with the fake name. And she said, I was so embarrassed to wear those to school. And now she's lovely and bougie, lovely and bougie.
But that's trauma, because when you're a kid, you want to feel like you fit in, because that's that basic human need to feel like you're part of a tribe. Yeah.
Yes. But when it comes to too much stuff in the home, or too big of a home, or many homes that you don't even enjoy, and it frustrates you because you have to hire people to manage them and things like that, you have to really take a look at are you focusing too much on your esteem need and not enough on your love and belonging? What's taking the place of family or friends or pet enjoyment, and you're filling that void with a different need, and it's not working.
Yes, every woman in my family has so much stuff, and I remember my nan, it was very much the era back then of trinkets, lots of little, and I used to have all those little collections, and she had a porcelain doll collection and all of the, listen, dusting that house was a nightmare. Like, it was just so much stuff. And I remember always thinking, I just want minimalist, just very simple things. And there's nothing wrong with a blank empty space in a home. You know how people always have to fill every space? It's okay to have some empty spaces. I very much feel more calm when I have empty space like that.
I think in design they call it negative space. And what it allows you to do is for your brain to work. Instead of it being filled with input, it allows your brain to process, because there's not one more thing to take in.
That makes sense. Plus, my son and I do dance parties in the living room, so I need.
You need space for that. You're just going to have to move that easel out of the way when you want to dance.
Exactly. His stuff's all shoved into the corner. But everything I put in the corner, he now uses as leverage to climb up onto the bench tops. He's such a physical child.
It's a boy thing.
He's such a boy. Do you think society has sold us a version of success that looks beautiful on the outside, big homes, expensive aesthetics, and upgrading, but actually leaves people feeling disconnected and emotionally exhausted?
Sometimes. I've met people in those big, beautiful homes that are perfectly content, and they're wonderful. They have a great marriage, and their kids are thriving. And as far as I can see, and I get a pretty close-up view sometimes, but I do think as a whole, there are many people that are chasing the big house and trying to fill it up with things. I've been in homes that some folks are house poor because they needed to buy the big home in the swim and tennis neighborhood, and the cars parked outside. I don't know why they're parked outside if they have a 3-car garage and they don't have a lot of stuff. And I just thought of that. Like, to show it off. Why are all the cars parked outside if they have room in the house? Anyhow, they are. You can just feel it. I think I asked someone who I knew, we were outside at a neighborhood thing, and I said, gosh, I need to use the restroom. May I go use the restroom? And she was like, oh, no, you can go to set. And then when I finally went in her house, I was like, there is no furniture in here. And I wasn't judging, but I was kind of sad for her.
No, it is
that
sad.
I was sad for
Yeah.
her that she couldn't let me in her house because there
Yeah.
was a disparity between what she was presenting and what she was
Yeah.
actually living. And it just
Well,
made
there
me
we go.
sad for
That's a
her.
real lack of functionality in her home then, isn't it? So
There wasn't a
that's
couch
going to drain your energy.
in the
Yeah.
living room. Yeah. Nothing
Yeah.
was bare. And I'm sure they're doing fine. And maybe they were growing into the house, so I didn't judge. But I did kind of think, what kind of stress is this putting on their marriage? And
Yeah.
you know,
Look, that would be my nightmare, like biting off more than I can chew with a gigantic mortgage and working my ass off that I can't appreciate the home. Like I just always say, I just want to be comfortable. Like I like beautiful things around me, but I don't need, like brand names and labels and things like that. So
yeah.
like a lot of the homes around here, I live in a beautiful beach suburb and the prices are hugely expensive. And like a very average home is $4 million. Like they're
Wow.
huge. And like a 1-bedroom unit's $1 million. And I was like, these used to be 200 grand, like just a few years ago.
Yes.
And a lot of the new build homes, I always say to my husband, we're always looking online and I'm like, they're soulless. I don't get excited when I see them. They're really soulless. So I like the ones that now, I've changed a lot. I like ones that are a little bit older that have so much charm and character and you can like make tweaks. That's, you could inject 100 grand in it and change the kitchen to how you like it. But I would so much rather something like that because when I walk into a home, I like to do a walkthrough and feel the energy. And when I see those brand new builds, they really do feel soulless to me, like really stark. And
Yeah, they're not built quite as well as the ones that were built even in the 1980s or 70s. If you can get a 1960 home, that thing is built like a rock. Or 50s.
Right? There's celebrity homes, like big A-grade celebrities. They're older homes, aren't they?
They are, and they redo them because
do.
it's more custom. And it's not just, here's the Melrose plan. Or, and then your plan is the flip version of 3 on the same street.
I don't like that. I think it's real cookie cutter. And it's very wealthy.
I don't want to be. I'm feeling bad now because so many people have that in my area. And you can make the home
but
your
they
own.
might like that. It's about what you like.
Well,
I want things to have charm and character.
I grew up in a community that it was 5, 4, and a door. There were colonial Williamsburg style homes, and there were 5 windows up top, and there were 4 windows on the bottom and a door in the middle. And when I walked in, I didn't even have to ask where the bathroom was.
Exactly
I know I can picture it in my head still to this day. But you would walk in and you would make it your own. Right?
You make it your own.
Yes.
The 3 things I always say when I'm manifesting, I say I have a home with lots of natural light, open space, and high ceilings. They're the 3, and I always say filled with lots of love and laughter. That's what I need from a home. That's a home for me.
And may I add that the home functions for what you need it to function as.
Yes.
So take one of those old Dunwoody homes I grew up in. The kids are gone. Mom is now podcasting. Instead of the basement being the kids' hangout, let's change the functionality to Mom's podcast studio and Mom's workout space or yoga center or Dad's workshop or whatever it is that they can now do again or for the first time because they're no longer in the role of full-time parent. So don't keep the red shag carpet and the kids' record collection. Do something, put that away, put it in a corner, put it in the storage area, and then turn the home into something you need now.
Yes. And when you watch those old movies and TV shows, the parents, after the kids have their own homes and kids, they keep their bedrooms the same. I was watching Jennifer Garner movie. We call it Suddenly 30, but I think in the US it's 13 going on 30.
I think so.
Yeah, and she went to her parents' house and her bedroom's the same, but with a treadmill in the corner and the mum's added a computer. Like, Mum, redo that room. Make it your home gym / home office. Like, she ain't coming back. She's got a Manhattan apartment. She's good.
She's very happy.
Yeah, I would do that too. Function is super, super important. And podcast studio is definitely number 1 on my list with a nice, I want a wall behind me with my logo of the name of my podcast lit up like a neon light. That's going to happen. Kim, I've really, really enjoyed your insights. I think they're so smart and they're so clever. And I am absolutely going to link everything for you in the show notes so that people can find out more. And I'm going to start listening to your podcast too. And I'll link that as well. I'm excited to hear more about that. But This podcast is all about filling up your cup. So what's something you'll be doing in the next week to fill up your cup?
Oh goodness. Well, I love to golf, and I've had a very busy local real estate season, and so I'm back out golfing, and I'd like to go more than once every other week. I'm going to go at least twice this week and be out in the sunshine, spend some time with my husband, and improve my game.
Love that so much. My husband's ears just pricked up. Golf. Someone said golf. That's his favorite way to fill up his cup. I love that so much. I've really enjoyed our chat. I think you and I have a lot of similarities. I could definitely feel the spirituality and Louise Haynes coming out of the screen at me. So I love that so much. Thank you very much for your time today, Kim. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
And everybody, please do something in the next week to fill up your cup.